So what begins to happen is that you come to a gathering like this and you listen to us, and in many cases you trust us. We have a good reputation for telling you what's really going on vibrationally, and many people are benefiting and speaking about how much better their lives are. But really, friends, when it comes right down to it, words don't teach, and that's all we've got for you. Confirming words about what you are doing in terms of deliberate creation. And we can tell you all day, every day, who you are, that you were source energy, that you came forth into this physical experience, that the larger part of you remains non-physical, while this part of you that's in your personality that has come forth into this physical body. And as you explore and know what you don't want, you launch these rockets of desire, and the source within you holds to those rockets and holds steady the light, calling you eternally toward vibrational alignment with who you are. And when you move in the direction of it, you feel wonderful. And when you hold out and don't move, you don't feel so good. In other words, we're giving this to you all day, every day. But until you actually deliberately conjure a thought, deliberately go general from specifically negative, and feel the relief of it, and then witness with your own experience the manifestational difference between the specific negative that you were feeling and the general negative that you're feeling, until you've convinced yourself that a general feeling of negativity nets different vibrational manifestations around you, and then because you're on a roll, you go generally positive, and then you witness the improvement in what happens not tomorrow, not theoretically, not conceptually, not someday, not to somebody else, but to you right away. To you right away. To you right away. You'll begin to notice that everyone and everything around you is responding to the vibrational frequency that you are outputting. And when you get a whiff of that, when you begin to notice the hands-on manifestational effect, manifesting. What does that mean? That means what happens to you. It means who walks into the room and talks to you. It means what part of themselves they give to you. If somebody walks in and gives to you their ornery self, that's a manifestation of where your frequency is set right now. You say, oh, God, that guy is ornery. And we say, takes one to know one. It's active in your vibration, and it's a manifestation that's reflecting that back to you. That person was so much fun, takes one to know one. Things are going so well for me, takes one to know one. In other words, your frequency, how you feel, what's going on with you, is in your utter control. In the moment that you get it, that you don't have to respond to a current condition. You can conjure an emotion because you have the ability to go from specifically negative to generally negative to generally positive to specifically positive. And the manifestations will show you all day, every day, how well you are doing. Nice to know, isn't it? We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. There is nothing off limits. There is no order of business in the sense that you don't need to orchestrate it. But there is an order of business in the sense that this gathering has gathered before you dragged your physical bodies here. In other words, you got this vortex going on, and we've been hanging around in it, and we know who you really are and what you really want. And so, as we're moving forward today, it is our knowing, and we want it to be your expectation, that whatever you've been pondering, whatever you've been focused upon, whatever it is you want to know, no matter how specifically you want to know it or how generally you've been focused upon it, to the degree that you have been wanting it and to the degree that you are vibrationally in alignment with it, you're going to get it here today. And everything that we've been saying in this little bit of time that we've spent together has been in vibrational preparation so that you are in a better place of more likely receiving the answers to the questions than you were when you first walked in the door. In other words, as we've been talking about this vortex from inside your vortex, and you've been listening, you've come into vibrational alignment for the most part with who you really are. And so as this day unfolds, you're going to feel really, really smart. You're going to catch the subtle nuances that we offer. We're going to hatch new ideas today that have never been understood until all of the universe. We are on the leading edge, expanding, you see. And you're going to be right up to speed with it. And when you get home and back into your reality, people are going to say, what did you learn? And you're going to say, well, it was really, really good, but I can't explain it to you now. And part of the reason that you will not be able to explain it. Maybe you will, but may not be able to explain it to them as fully as you're feeling it here today, is because you're going to come into alignment with who you really are, and the true knowledge of all that you are is going to be yours. We want you to taste the fullness of who you really are, in your brilliance, in your clarity, in your love, in your power of deliberate creation, you see. So, the work is to get in the vortex. And then the work is to stay in the vortex. And if you're not in the vortex, then the work is to get in the vortex. And then the work is to stay in the vortex. And if you're not in the... And if you're not in the vortex, then your work is to get in the vortex. And if you're in the vortex, then the work is to stay in the vortex. And if you're not in the vortex, the work is to get in the vortex. And at no point is the work ever to try to get out of the vortex. And at no point is the work ever to try to stay out of the vortex once you're out of the vortex. In other words, this has been a very interesting day, hasn't it? In other words, sometimes people want to be in but aren't. And then we talk a little while and then they are. And then they don't seem to notice how important it is to be in, and so they don't really try to stay in. You have seen demonstrated here today what the real work is, and it's representative of your real life experience, because it's sort of like that, isn't it? So what are some of the tools that you might use, or what do you think is the predominant tool that you might use to stay in the vortex once you're in? Appreciation really is the most powerful tool once you're in the vortex to maintain it. What do you think would be the most powerful way or tool to get in the vortex when you're not in the vortex? Wait. Rampage of appreciation? Certainly not, because if you're not in the vortex and you get really focused, you'll just cement yourself outside. Later gator is good. What does later gator represent? So you're not in the vortex. You know you're not in the vortex, but you want to be in the vortex, but you're not in the vortex, but you want to be in the vortex, but you're not in the vortex, but you want to be in the vortex. What is the mindset? What are you reaching for? Looking for positive aspects is too direct. It's too specific, because it's like reading affirmations from outside the vortex. If you're not in the vortex and you want to be in the vortex, what's the tool you're reaching for? Well, we'll give you a hint. It's diffusion of resistance. So what kinds of things? Say again. Meditation is the surest way to release resistance and to get into the vortex. So let's talk about this for a little bit. What are some ways that you can diffuse resistance? Now, before you try too hard to think about it, we want to say to you that diffusing anything is a deconstructing of the thought. So the more specific you are, the more in the wrong direction you're going if you're out of the vortex, the more general you get. So things like, I don't have to think about this now, I can do this later, I can focus on my breathing. I could count. I could listen for something in the air conditioning. I could gaze into the vastness of the sky or the stars. In other words, I could do something as outrageous as find rhythm like in a drum. I could listen to music, but the selection of music is a little tricky there, because if you're depressed, you'll listen to Love Gone Bad songs. We just want you to be mindful of where you are. In other words, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would have a keen awareness of where we are in relationship to the vortex. And everything that we would do, everything that we would decide to focus upon, every activity would be, how will this enhance either my longevity in the vortex? Will it cause it to last longer? Or will it move me in the direction of it? So as we're moving forward, just keep those things in mind. We're eager to talk with you about whatever you want to talk about. But this is the direction of the seminar. It's the direction of what would be our physical life if we were standing in your physical shoes. We would be aware of the vortex and our relationship to it, period. You know why? Because everything else is taken care of. Step 1's already done. You've already filled the vortex full of wonderful things. Source energy has already gathered the cooperative components. There's only one thing for you to do. There's only one thing for you to do. There's only one thing for you to do. Get in the vortex and stay in the vortex. Get in the vortex and stay in the vortex. That's one thing. Get in the vortex and stay in the vortex. Get in the vortex and stay in the vortex. That's it. It's simpler than you've been making it out to be. Do you know that 100% of politics is outside the vortex? Our favorite day so far with you, because we have been out on the leading edge in a new way. It's interesting how we can have some of the same conversations about vortex, about contrast, about launching desires, about taking the bounce. And then a whole series of people just raise their hand and come forward to punctuate exactly what we're wanting to convey to you about this business of managing your relationship with your vortex. We want you to realize that no matter where you're standing in relationship to what you want is only an emotion away from you. In other words, a very close emotion away from you. Jerry is often asking us, well, Abraham, what do you want? What's in this for you? What do you want? And we've been saying in a variety of different ways that what we want is for you to have conscious realization of what you would call potential that we would call reality. What we want is for your realization of who you really are to come fully into your life moment by moment. We so enjoy watching little ones who are full of themselves, who are not terrorized by a crowd or controlled by a well-meaning lover or a parent, who just have such complete knowledge of their goodness and their rightness and their never-ending potential for joyous expansion, that they just don't take anything that you've got going on very seriously. They just stay in that knowledge of well-being. And what we want is that little by little you return to that place of knowing where you're not afraid of anything because you understand that you can take it as it comes, and that if something does show up that is unwanted, that there is a way to easily bring it back into alignment. We want your life not to frighten you in its potential, but to call you in its potential. We want you to feel the fullness of your readiness to respond to whatever comes your way. Because the freedom that you seek is the freedom from resistance. It's the only freedom that exists. And when you finally get it, that you can be free of resistance under any and all conditions, and once you align with the energy of who you are, that all things right themselves in terms of manifestation, now you have control of manifestation. It's such an interesting thing to watch. There are so many moving parts and so many things you can't control. So the effort at controlling them just makes you crazy. It makes you crazy and it makes you feel unworthy because you can't control them, and so you can't make things better. But when you begin understanding your relationship with who you were before you came and your relationship with who you have now become, when you understand the vortex and your relationship with the vortex, and you learn to manage your emotions just day by day and bringing yourself into alignment, then in time and in very short order, you will come to that freed place where you will realize that there isn't anything for you to be terrorized about or terrified about, or anything for you to ever worry about, because you can figure it out as you go. And here's the part we love telling you most. In the figuring it out, there is more zest and zippity-doo-dah than you experience under any other conditions. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain blissfully in the vortex, calling you in, 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 but never worrying about whether you're in or not. There is great love here for you. Yay! Okay. nice. Bye.